This is entirely of the Prime Minister's own making. And yes, he's very good at standing there, you know, like a dirty schoolboy with grubby knees going, oh, sorry, wah, 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 didn't do my homework, wah, 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 promise to do better next time. This man is the Prime Minister. He is the leader of this country. It has taken him 2 weeks to recognise that this was an absolutely stupid mistake. What he's done is not only damaged the Conservative Party, he's hugely damaged the role of Parliament, and he's very much damaged democracy, because I think this makes people think, oh, all politicians, they're in it for themselves. I'm not interested in any of them, and I think that's extremely dangerous.
Yeah, I suspect that people have had that view about politicians way before this Owen Paterson debacle, I would suggest. Harriet, what's your view?
Well, I'm quite keen for MPs to have second jobs, because the thing about MPs that's different from the rest of us is they can get thrown out of their jobs like that every 5 years. And I think it's fair that they're able to have something bubbling away on the side. I mean, they can't all become like, take up ballroom dancing like Ed Balls on Strictly. So I think that would be fair. Otherwise, we might have to end up paying them a huge amount of money to make up for it. But we need to be, this whole thing has shown, we need to be much, much more transparent and clear what the second jobs entail. I mean, if you try and go and look on the register where they're meant to fill out what they're actually doing...
The register of interests.
You can't, thank you. You can't. It's very difficult to work out what anybody's doing. So it must be more transparent. I mean, so many, you've got people being ministers, taking decisions that affect private companies, and then wafting 5 minutes later into a highly paid job in that private company. I mean, that's outrageous. That has to stop.
But surely that's what you've just said they need to do, is to have something bubbling away so that when the big job goes, they can step into something.
Yes, but we've got to know
But the problem is, I mean, there are very clear rules. There is nothing to stop you being an advisor. You're not supposed to be a lobbyist, but there's nothing to stop you being an advisor or a consultant. Well, you know, that's a very flimsy veil over being a lobbyist and being an advisor or consultant. And it does seem to me that, yes, of course, we need people coming into Parliament who have come from different walks of life, because otherwise you just get professional politicians. But actually what you need to do is say, yes, if you need to carry on working as a doctor, like Rosina Allen Khan, MP for Tooting, who still works and does emergency shifts, if you're a lawyer and you need to keep up the hours in order to retain your licence, that's fine. But this idea that you are actually being paid to advise somebody because of you being an MP is fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
It's so open to corruption. But I mean, just taking up your point about professional politicians, this is another reason why I would prefer that they had jobs, because I've seen so many of these young men, they come in as in think tanks, they become special advisors, and it's all in one tiny area of Westminster, and they never appear, and then they become MPs, but they never appear to breathe the real world. I mean,
well, Alan, to me, it's very simple. If you're going to be an MP, that should be your first and foremost duty. It is a duty. It's not even a job. It's a duty. A public servant, it is your primary role, or at least it should be. What I would do if I was Prime Minister or in charge of all these rules, I'd say, right, this has to be your priority. You are allowed to do a second job if there is no conflict of interest between that and your Parliament, your parliamentary work. And I would apply a cap to it and say, there's only so many working hours in the month. You're only allowed to dedicate X% over and above your work to that job. There you go, Boris Johnson. I shall invoice you for my consultancy services. I fixed it in a nanosecond. But what's your thoughts on that? Don't you think that's sensible?
I think it is sensible. I think, but actually I think if you're going to do a job, you do it properly. And really, if you can do one job really very well, that would be great. If you look back at the history, in the Labour Party, they used to have all sorts of people from all sorts of professions. A lot of working people, steel workers, builders and others, they don't have that anymore. Similarly, in the Conservative Party, one of the concerns is that if you speak to most ordinary people, £82,000 a year is not chump change. It's not what you might get in the commercial sector, but the idea that you're going to have your attention focused and dedicated to causes, you're going to work with your constituents and you're going to be able to address the issues. Many of the things we've seen, by the way, have been issues that have around the lockdown, around PPE and other issues like that as well, where all sorts of things have been agreed and deals done. And actually, what we've needed to see in the last 20 months is much more parliamentary debate, actually scrutiny amongst MPs, transparency, and we've actually seen the reverse. So I agree. I think that really, actually, if you're going to do a job, you should be doing it properly. Can't imagine going into work and saying, sorry, I've had to do my other job and I can't really deliver in the way I should be now.
I don't know, actually. If my boss is watching, I wouldn't mind doing this job from some lovely island somewhere. I think I could make that work.
I'll be there. I'm happy to join you then.
Yeah, well, let's all do that. Let's go to a beautiful tax haven and I'll broadcast from there, no problem.